And there are some people in your world that are looking for you to be who you used to be, a version of you that no longer exists because it is not supporting you. It will not help you. And you recognized it and you discarded it, but you still try to go back, revisit the past, pick up a ghost of yourself that does not exist so that others can feel comfortable. Now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya Ehud. I'm glad I get the chance to see you again, hoping you had an amazing day. And I want to share a little bit of adjustments that I had to walk through. You guys already know that gone through resetting myself, adjusting my life, and doing all the things. But it started with me having to ask myself some tough questions. So, if you have already read my premier book, Red Alert, Is He the One? The Pocket Guide to Finding the Love of Your Life, then you already know what this is. So, I want to read this. For those of you that don't have the book, you can look at the information I'm about to share in chapter 6. This is where I had to go through a discovery of more of Tanya being purposeful with me. This is what I wrote. When you know your gifts, talents, and your purpose in life, you can see if they complement his. Gaining a better understanding of these helped me evaluate the ex and the mentor. I asked myself a few questions. First, do my talents and gifts complement his? Second, do his gifts complement me? Third, what about our temperaments? Do I see us as an effective team capable of bringing blessing to the world? Do our futures mesh? Could we coordinate our gifts in an attractive and effective way? Then I went on to ask myself a couple of other questions because as you go through resetting yourself, gaining more understanding about who you are, when you meet that other individual, if you are looking to date, restart, or whatever, you're going to have to make some decisions about what you see. You see, when I got married at 21, it was not in my thought to start asking questions to see if he was really complimentary to me, to see if what I brought to the table and what he brought to the table was beneficial. But the second time around, y'all, yeah. When it is time to restart and reset, I had to make the adjustments needed. And it was there that the questions came. So the book is a strategy guide. There are a lot of different questions that I ask in here to share with you along the way so that you can get some thoughts about some things. And one of the elements that I had to truly walk into was utilizing those beyond the book. When you live the life of what you decide to write down for your soul and transfer it for others, it really starts sealing it in. Because in order for me to get clarity about the questions that I was asking, to ensure whether I was going to go back to the ex, yeah, y'all, the reset, the stuff that you go back to, I did a backwards moment in my world. But what helped me make a clearer decision was knowing how to count the cost. What did it cost me to be in a relationship with that person or a new person? If you don't know what the relationships in your life are costing you, you'll continue to pay it and then later be depleted and not know why. Later feel upset and not know why. Later struggle and not know why. I don't want that to be your story. So I wrote down what I walked through so that you do not have to step on the landmines I have already crossed. Write questions that are pertinent to you. What do you need? You see, those were questions that Tanya needed when I was making a decision between the new and the old. Yeah, because the time's going to come. If you have ever gotten out of any relationship, you will come to a place where you will have to make a decision between the new and the old. Because the ex is going to do one something that makes you think, oh, I think they're making the adjustments that I wanted. Oh, I wanted to have these changes all this time and they're doing it. No, no. Pay real close attention. Because if you are like me, then you got caught in familiarity. There was no change. He was familiar territory. So because the unknown often causes us some angst and some fears, sometimes we'll go back to what's familiar, even though we know it was not suiting you then, and it will not suit you now, because you are not the person that you were when you first entered that relationship. We forget. We forget that we grow on a regular basis. And I want you to think about this. You are not the same person that you were 5 years ago, just 5 years ago. Just think back on that moment. You are an entirely different being. There's elements about who you are that have grown. There's pieces about who you used to be that you no longer need because it's not supporting you. So I want to encourage you today. Do something different with yourself. Function in a different capacity. Because if you walk through that journey one more time and it does not support you because you chose not to ask yourself questions, questions that will help you make better decisions, questions that will help you count the cost. Chapter 6 is written for a reason. It's called complementary. It was in chapter 6 that I had to discover what was complementary to my world. I'll use the example of wardrobes. Yes, men, I recognize that sometimes feels like a female term, but I want you to know that when you go get your Dapper Dawn suit, you find out what is complementary to it with a tie, with a shirt, with a pocket square. You look for complementary as well in the fashion world. So since everybody does it, it makes an easy representation. If I'm looking to go get something complementary to what I have in my closet, I'm more particular. You are more specific to count the cost, and it will often save you money. And in the instance with your heart, it will often save you time, heartache, turmoil, drama. So count the cost. What are your skills? What are your gifts? What are your talents? Do you know? And if you don't know, take the time to discover you, because you are an amazing individual. You, you were birthed in the earth with specific things that you bring to the world. Discover them, because I want you to know this as well. Everybody around you is using your gifts, even if you are not. Because a gift, your gift is that thing that you do well. You don't even think about doing it, you just do it. When people come to you and they ask you to put together a plan, develop a strategy, help them with solutions, it's a part of your gifting. When someone comes to you to ask you to be the listening ear, to comfort their heart, to soothe their soul, you're an automatic because it's your gifting. If someone comes to you and asks you to rally the troops, get things going, it's a part of your gifting. Yeah, it's already in your soul. And as a result, you already do it. And you're not conscious of it, so you're not really clear unless you are intentional. I want you to start being intentional with you, because you are intentional with everybody else around you. When you become intentional with yourself, you discover your gifts, you maximize your talents, and you start counting the cost when it comes to both professional environments and personal environments. That way, you maximize who you are. You're more balanced in your being. You are more supportive of you as well as those around you. So you will begin to ask yourself some tough questions. Questions that will help you build a better life, the life that you desire, the life that you want, the life that you are already trying to run to. But some of us don't make it there because we don't sit long enough to get clarity of what it looks like. And that often requires you sitting still without having a championship of a whole bunch of people in your ear. You got to sit with you. You see, the birthing of this book, this book was birthed by me sitting still in the quiet moments of my life. It was an outpour because it was an autopsy on my divorce. See, when you take the time to go over some of the traumatic situations in your life, if you do an autopsy, you will come up with some solutions that will support you in the future, that will give you greater insight about the people that you will meet. Because, y'all, the mentor in the book, when I started doing my autopsy, paying better attention to what I needed, asking the proper questions, it gave me the chance to take a look at this man. I got the chance to see his gifts. I got the chance to see his talents. I got the chance to see what I brought to the world, and was it complementary to what he brought as well. I recognized that there was something there that would strengthen me while I strengthened him. Those are the types of relationships that you want in your world. The relationships that will pour into you as much as you pour into them. And they are not easy to come by. Because when you start counting the cost of the people that are in your world, you will find a lot of them lacking. They will not have what you need. They will not possess what you have to have moving forward. And some of the individuals that are currently in your world, as you grow into a better version of yourself, they won't make it. When I did that statement in the book on chapter 6, looking at the ex and the mentor, I had grew into a different version of Tanya. I was a version of Tanya that the ex did not want to have in his world, because the same way that I went to him for familiarity, he came to me for familiarity as well. But what we found were things that were different, because I grew into a different version of me. And when the ex and I got together, I was 19 years old. When we got divorced, I was 32. And it was a 7-year gap between my first marriage and my second marriage. There was a big difference in the 19-year-old Tanya and the Tanya that the ex showed up trying to meet again. Oh no, she wasn't there. I grew into a better version of myself. And there are some people in your world that are looking for you to be who you used to be, a version of you that no longer exists because it is not supporting you. It will not help you. And you recognized it and you discarded it, but you still try to go back, revisit the past, pick up a ghost of yourself that does not exist so that others can feel comfortable. Stop. Don't keep doing that. Let your future be the future that you need, operating in purpose, on purpose, for purpose, using your gifts, maximizing your talents. So ask yourself the difficult questions, the questions that you need to discover if that new relationship is complementary to who you are, if that old relationship is really supporting you now. And if you decide to use this in other areas, it does work. Because I have also counted the cost of certain jobs that I wanted to take, certain locations that I thought I would move to, certain meetings and business deals that I thought would be supportive. But when I counted the costs, asked the tough questions, I found they were not complimentary, and I needed to move on. You may need to do the same. And so for today, if you don't remember anything else, here's the one thing I want you to know. Look at your gifts. Pay attention to your skills. Maximize your talents. And count the cost by asking yourself the difficult questions that you need, those things that you know are going to help you be better so that you can function better, to do better. And that way, you'll have better, because that's what you're trying to do anyway. And if you want someone to join you on the journey, feel free to go to my website, TanyaEHood.com. There you can click under the Work With Me tag and see the various ways that we can work with one another. And if you are on YouTube, you can join me live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we can continue the conversation, or we can start a new one. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood, walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.